What happens when a young champion in waiting finally cracks under pressure? That's the question haunting McLaren fans after Oscar Piastri's nightmare in Baku. Just weeks ago, the Australian looked untouchable, 34 points clear of his teammate Lando Norris, silencing doubters with clinical precision. But in Formula One, dominance can flip overnight, and Juan Pablo Montoya has been waiting for this very moment. The Colombian firebrand warned the paddock. When a driver suddenly feels comfortable with a points cushion, the mind shifts, often without even realizing it. And Montoya, never shy with predictions, claims Piastri's mistakes are proof his approach has already changed. Double-guessing himself in Monza, overdriving in Baku, jumping the start, then throwing the car into the wall. To Montoya, this isn't bad luck, it's psychology. So here's the burning question. Is Piastri truly cracking under pressure, or is Montoya simply exploiting the narrative to boost his own credibility? Before we dive deeper, make sure to hit subscribe and drop a like if you believe McLaren is heading straight for a civil war. Oscar Piastri swore nothing would change. It's still far too early to be calculating and settling for positions that aren't first, he told reporters before Monza. Calm, measured, almost robotic in his confidence. He wanted the world to know no matter the gap, no matter the pressure, his approach was the same. But then came the cracks. In qualifying at Monza, he admitted his laps were good, not spectacular. On Sunday, he was forced to obey late team orders, settling for a controversial third, while Norris looked sharper, hungrier, more decisive. And when we rolled into Baku, the facade shattered. Jumpstart, wall in qualifying, wall in the race. Piastri wasn't just second best to Norris, he was his own worst enemy. This is where Montoya's words sting. You don't think you've changed, but subconsciously, you already have. And when the scoreboard shows Norris clawing back your lead, the world starts asking, are we watching a champion in control or a talent spiraling into doubt? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Is Piastri being too stubborn to admit his mindset has shifted? And don't forget, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss our deep dive on the McLaren Civil War. When Juan Pablo Montoya speaks, the paddock still listens. This is a man who went toe-to-toe with Michael Schumacher in the early 2000s, a driver famous for never backing down, even if it meant ending up in the gravel. Montoya's career was built on raw speed and fearless aggression, but also on the psychological battles that define Formula One. So when he warns that Piastri is starting to see a side of himself nobody's seen before, it's not idle chatter. Montoya knows what happens when pressure twists ambition into self-destruction. He lived it, he fought through it, and at times it cost him championships. That's why his words cut deeper than a typical pundit's hot take. And let's not forget, Montoya predicted this exact scenario before Monza. He said, if Oscar changes his approach, he's going to become vulnerable to Lando. 2 races later, Norris looks like the alpha in papaya, while Piastri is left defending mistakes he can't afford. If you're enjoying this breakdown, hit the like button right now and tell us in the comments, do you trust Montoya's instincts, or is he just stirring drama for the cameras? But let's be fair to Piastri, this isn't just about his headspace. The McLaren MCL39 was far from invincible in Monza and Baku. In Italy, Red Bull's upgraded RB21 suddenly looked sharper, reclaiming the top step with authority. And in Azerbaijan, the street circuit punished even the smallest mistakes. McLaren didn't have the dominant grip or stability to bail Piastri out when things went wrong. That's the other layer Montoya only hints at. Performance windows in F1 are brutally small. One week, you're the hunter. The next, you're the hunted. For Piastri, his errors stood out not just because they were costly, but because they came at the exact moment McLaren's car stopped looking untouchable. Still, pressure magnifies everything. Norris maximized what he had, kept his nose clean, and suddenly looks like the calmer, sharper contender. Piastri, the spotlight makes every scrape with the wall feel like proof that Montoya was right all along. Quick pause. If you think Norris has quietly taken control of this title fight, drop a Norris rules in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our Singapore preview. So here we are at the fork in the road. Singapore, a street circuit, yes, but one that historically rewards discipline, patience, and laser-sharp focus. On paper, it should suit the McLaren package better than Baku, but the real question isn't about the car, it's about the driver. Does Piastri have the mental reset to brush off 2 bruising weekends and come back swinging? Or are we about to watch a repeat of what Montoya fears? A young talent spiraling, desperate to prove he's still in control. Because in Formula One, the line between redemption and collapse is as thin as a carbon fiber front wing. And here's the sting. Norris smells blood. The Brit has been second fiddle at McLaren for years. always praised but never fully crowned. If Piastri senses his armor cracking, you can bet he'll go for the jugular. That's not just rivalry. That's survival in a team that can only back one driver in a title fight. Fans, I want your call. Will Singapore be Piastri's redemption or the beginning of his undoing? And if you're loving this ride through the drama, hit that like button. It helps us bring more F1 chaos straight to you. And this is where McLaren's fairy tale season risks turning into a nightmare. When both of your drivers are in a title fight, harmony doesn't last forever. History tells us this. Think Hamilton versus Rosberg at Mercedes, Alonso versus Hamilton at McLaren back in 2007, even Senna versus Prost at McLaren in the 80s. When the stakes are this high, the gloves always come off. McLaren loves to brand itself with papaya principles, teamwork, unity, shared vision. But when Lando Norris is chasing his first world championship and Oscar Piastri refuses to step aside, those slogans will be tested to the breaking point. Team orders already caused tension at Monza. Imagine the fallout of Singapore or Suzuka forces another call. And that's the irony. Montoya may have lit the spark, but it's McLaren's own success that fuels this fire. Two drivers at the peak of their talent, one team, and only one #1 seat in the long run. This isn't just about who wins races. It's about who defines McLaren's future. Smash subscribe if you want us to cover every twist of this civil war at McLaren. And drop a comment. Who should the team back? The silent assassin Piastri or the fan favorite McLando? For Oscar Piastri, this isn't just a title fight. It's the weight of history. Australia has produced legends. Jack Brabham, a 3-time world champion who built his own car and conquered the sport. Alan Jones, the hard-nosed fighter who delivered Williams its first title in 1980. Mark Webber, the nearly man who fought but never captured the crown. And Daniel Ricciardo, the smiling assassin with 8 wins but no championship. Now all eyes are on Piastri as the next in line. He's not just racing Norris, he's racing expectation. Fans back home call him the silent assassin, the cool, unflappable kid who could finally bring Australia its first championship in over 4 decades. But when mistakes creep in, the echoes of Webber's near misses and Ricciardo's heartbreaks grow louder. Is Piastri destined to finish the job or to repeat the cycle? That's why Montoya's critique hits harder. It's not just about points lost in Baku. It's about whether Piastri has the steel to carry the legacy of a nation. If you're watching from Australia, drop your flag in the comments. Is Piastri the one to finally break the drought? And don't forget, subscribe so you never miss our next deep dive on Aussie nudgeons in Formula 1. So here we are, a title fight balanced on a knife's edge. Oscar Piastri, once untouchable, now haunted by the question of whether he's changed without even realizing it. Norris, the eternal nearly man, suddenly standing taller, hungrier, ready to seize the crown. And Juan Pablo Montoya watching from the sidelines, claiming vindication as the cracks begin to show. Singapore could define the season. If Piastri rebounds, Montoya's words fade into background noise and the silent assassin takes back control. But if the walls close in again, the momentum swings fully to Norris, and McLaren will face decisions that could split the team apart. That's the beauty and brutality of Formula 1. Talent isn't enough. Speed isn't enough. To be champion, you need to master the mental war, the politics, and the weight of history pressing on your shoulders. So, what do you think? Is Piastri about to prove he's the real deal? Or are we watching Norris rise while Montoya's prophecy comes true? Drop your verdict in the comments, hit like if you enjoyed this breakdown, and subscribe so you never miss the next twist in this McLaren civil war.